Hey guys, this is Alicia, and I'm back from New York. I am online again to do the 6th day of my 10-day YouTube challenge. I am just getting in from work. I work for a hospital. I work with patients and their families, to get services. And I just wanted to come back here on YouTube just to talk to you guys more about the topics that was given to me. Um, so far, I was given two questions to answer, which was, what is your favorite book? And what was your favorite movie? So I must say, starting out with the book, I really don't have a favorite book or a favorite author. I do read the Bible, of course, and, I'm very heavily inspired by the Bible. I use that as a blueprint for my life and, to encourage others and to learn how to live and grow. But one book that I did read, which was in high school, was the 12 Angry Men. And distinctively, how they set up the case, how the all of the men had to come to an agreement on who was convicted or innocent. And that brought me back to a situation that I had in February when I was a juror on a murder case. And I had to sit with a group of people who convicted the criminal within 5 minutes. But my compassionate heart, along with a few other people, really didn't want to sentence this man to, life in prison. So I could clearly remember when I was sitting on a case as a juror, how the jury in that book decided, the conviction. And, it was a really, really, um, I would say, interesting experience for me because I never had to, judge anyone for, any kind of incident or anything that I felt was right or wrong. And, it was quite an experience, for me because, like their fate is in your hands. So you're trying to make the right decision for yourself, and morally, you're pulling from every aspect that but according to the videos and according to um what was presented in court, we had to come up with a decision. And I could recall before getting selected as the juror, I could tell within myself I did not want to be selected. I thought of every reason in the world not to be selected. I said, one, I'm a Christian. Number two, I do ministry. I said, okay, that's going to get me off. Three, my dad was killed in police custody, and my grandfather was murdered. So I said, well, they're not going to pick me because, I don't like guns. And I also have past family members who were murdered tragically. So I know they're not going to pick me. And, I could come up with every story in the book why they should not pick me for the trial. And I just kept thinking to myself, like, what do I say? Oh, I don't like this, everything. If they told me, if they said, do you agree with this law or that law? I was trying to come up with things to say, because I didn't want to serve on the jury. But due to high demand, I was selected. And I was juror number 5 on a murder trial. I served for 2 weeks straight. And they sat me in the front row. And I was not happy about that because each and every day I had to see the victim's family, and I had to sit there and look at the, uh, you know, uh, basically the defendant, each and every day, eyeball to eyeball across the room. So it was not a very happy experience, but it was an experience that taught me that, when you are put into a place, an uncomfortable place, you have to learn how to manage. You have to learn how to adjust. You have to learn how to change and develop a mechanism for survival. Because, being placed in that particular situation, you know, I was in a position where I had the authority. The jurors have the authority. A lot of people think that it's just a judge that sends you to jail, but it is actually the jury who decide on, based on the evidence and based on all the facts that's presented in court, the videos, the handgun. Well, the person used a handgun in the case, but the handgun, the assault, the pictures of the victim's body, all these different forms of evidence is used, in the case. And, you as a juror, you have to make a decision, from what's right or wrong. And then if your decision doesn't coincide with the rest of the jurors, then you have a debate and you have to prove your point. So there were a lot of times sitting in the room when we had to deliberate. I had to sit there and debate and, share my reasons for, not wanting this person to serve a life sentence. So in that particular case, it really, really brought some awareness to me about life. It brought some awareness to me that sometimes you're going to have to make choices for yourself that you might not want to, and you may have to just do the best that you can. Sometimes peer pressure or life circumstances will deal a hand to you that you feel that you can't handle, but your faith, your morals and beliefs, and good judgment will see you through every time. And, just wanted to share that the outcome was that the gentleman did get, he did get 25 years to life in prison. And we found out at the very end that he is an actual career criminal. He's been in jail his whole life. Another message from, the book and also from my experience was that basically my lesson was that I had to learn about domestic violence because it was a domestic violence case. And I had to learn that, I have to keep my mind open. I have to keep my eyes open, I have to keep my mind open, and I have to stand on my belief and on the truth. Stand on the truth. That's the message from the 12 Angry Men. Stand on the truth. That's the message from Anne Frank's book. Please forgive me. I can't remember the name of the book, but Anne Frank, if you look her up, was a young woman who, wrote a journal while her family was going through, the persecution of being, Jewish in that particular time. And in her community, she was like, they were hiding within their community, from, the assailants. So standing in your truth, that's what I learned from each situation, from each book, and from my experiences dealing with the court and oppression and so forth. Secondly, I wanted to answer the next question, which was, what's your favorite movie? And there are several movies that I really love and really enjoy. I really enjoyed The Color Purple. What a beautiful experience. What a beautiful story about, a young lady coming from the country and, really being insecure about her inabilities to read and her inabilities to, of life and, being given away by her parents to this man who she called Mr., who she really didn't know well. But she was given away to him, and Instead of him loving her and treating her like a wife, he treated her more like a housemaid or housekeeper. And she never really knew what real love was. And after a while, she started interacting with other people and they taught her what real love was. And she was able to stand up for herself. In the second book that the second movie that really, really, really shed light on my life and really inspired me, encouraged me, uplifted me. It just helped me to, dig deeper and find out who I was as an individual was the movie Precious. Precious was a character in the movie who she was a young teenage woman growing up in the inner city, lived at home with her parents who were emotionally abusive, spiritually, physically, mentally abusive to this young woman. She was overweight. She dealt with a lot of struggles, a lot of battles. She wound up becoming a teen parent very young. She was seduced and oppressed. And she wound up going to this advocacy school where she was trying to apply for a GED, and she met a wonderful mentor and counselor who inspired her to be great and to overcome some of the battles and struggles that she faced. And that was a truly amazing movie because I saw myself in her. Now, I did not experience a lot of the things that she went through as far as the trauma, but I will say that I did grow up in the inner city. I am a child of a single parent, who worked many hours, and, she had time, for me, but, I had to learn a lot growing up in my community. I grew up in a community where there was a broad spectrum of different types of people, like from, addicts to drug dealers to prostitutes to, teachers, doctors, lawyers to, childcare workers. I grew up around a big, broad, vast of people in my community. So I called it the jungle because if you can survive the jungle, you can survive anything. It's called the survival of the fittest. And the movie Precious brought to light, how the struggle was real. And even though the odds were against her, she had no help. She had even her own parents turned against her. She was still able to find the guiding light in her life and feed off of that and get inspired and encouraged and gain strength from that light, which was her mentor, her teacher. And she was able to gain a support system, after she gave birth to the baby that she created with her father. She was able to find herself, and that's what's most important in life. No matter what people label you, they can label you mother, daughter, father, son, helper, teacher, businessman. You have to find out who you are. You have to know who you are deep down inside. And you have to go according to, what you believe you are. Because other people can label you a bunch of different things and you not believe it. But if you have intuition inside and you pull from inside and say, this is who I'm called to do. This is who I'm called to be. This is who I am. This is what I was made to be. I'm not going to let my circumstance get me down. I'm not going to let my problems and my situations turn me away and make me worse. I'm not going to allow my community and what people think and say about me, stop my growth. I'm going to make it. I'm going to be successful, and I'm going to reach a higher height than my parents have ever reached. And, looking at that movie, I was so inspired because, that's who I am. I had to rise above my community. I had to go to college. I had to, even with some short shortcomings, and I had to take extra classes, I had to get tutors, I had to go to school and spend extra hours in school when other people didn't, just to get a 4.0 and graduate with honors. I had to push forward through the pressure, and being the only African American student in a graduate program, I had to, work a little harder because some of the professors didn't understand, the language or writing or the assignments. When I wrote my assignments, I wrote from the heart. And, a lot of times on my papers, they didn't agree with me. So I had to push past that. I had to always work a little harder, to gain respect and the integrity, to walk in integrity, that I was called to walk in order to be acknowledged in this society, just like Precious. So I'm truly grateful for her story and her life as an example to many of the young women and men out there in the world who grew up with, in families and in communities that really didn't support their growth, that really worked against them or turned against them when they tried to find out who they were inside. And, I'm really, encouraged by that movie. I cried a little. I'm not going to lie to you. I did cry a little. When there were certain parts that I did cry, and I did channel her, and I did feel her pain and her anxiety. And, I did feel like, she wanted to give up. She had moments where she would black out and just daydream about her life being different. And I know many people out there feel the same way. Like they daydream and just black out like, oh my goodness, like, is it ever going to get better? But I'm here to let you know that, it can get better, that you control your destiny. You control your fate. You control what you want your life to be. And we have to just dig deep inside, and we have to just be more aware of the things that hinder us and block us, and work on it. We're not perfect. No one's perfect. My grandmother used to tell me that people sin all day, every day. So no one's perfect, and God is a forgiving God. But she used to let me know, she used to tell me that, in life, you're going to make some mistakes. You're going to slip and fall. But you don't stay down. You get back up. Try again. Move forward. Don't let trauma in the society label you as a failure. Keep going. Keep pushing. Keep being great. And even when you don't feel great, sometimes you got to fake it till you make it. Because, in that push, in that process, there's somebody watching. There's somebody that needs to hear you. There's somebody that needs to hear your voice, or needs to hear your story, or needs to hear that they can make it, or it's possible, because of what you've been through. So again, I just wanted to thank you guys for listening in, on my review of my favorite books and my favorite movies. And I want you guys to have a great, blessed night. I want you guys to always remember yourself. Get a little journal. Write down things in your journal about your strengths and weaknesses, and, things you're trying to overcome. Click that subscribe button below. Visit my website if you can, and reach out to me on Facebook. So I want you guys to have a great night now. Thanks again for listening. God bless. Bye-bye.